Thank you.
Yeah.
To the last Academic and Student Life Committee meeting of this academic year. As is usual, we have a pretty active agenda. We will establish an endowed professorship and the naming of the UVA School of Architecture Center in Italy, which I would love to be on the visiting committee for when we're next going out. We will hear from the Interim Executive Vice President and Provost, Gertler, on matters of current interest, and she will report to the board on preparations for the reaffirmation of the university's accreditation by SACS. We will have 3 discussion items involving 4 undergraduate student presenters, which are near and dear to my heart. The Student Council, both incoming and outgoing presidents, and if you all may remember, almost 30 years ago, I was in that role, and so it's a position that I value very much. It is truly the elected position to represent students' interest across the entire university, and I did not want to end my chairmanship of this committee without hearing from them, because I think there's always a lot of suggestive conversation about what students are feeling and how they're interacting, but who better than to hear that from than students themselves. And so I'm looking forward to that conversation. And then we will also hear from our new head men's basketball coach. So first up is Provost Gertler. Oh, I caught her. She was, okay. You're the mother.
Good afternoon, everyone. I want to start to take a moment before my remarks to just thank Carlos Brown for his amazing leadership of the Academic and Student Life Committee over the past year. Carlos, as all of you know, is a model of a committee leader. He always approaches questions with a very open mind. He has championed advising at the university, and student self-governance is incredibly important to him. And he personally requested that we have the student council representatives, the student council leaders, present to us here today. So I am just deeply, deeply grateful. It's been wonderful to work with you, first as deputy provost and now in the interim provost role. So thank you, Carlos, for your amazing leadership and service. As the chair mentioned, we have 2 action items for the board's approval today. The first is for the establishment of the J. Sanford Miller Professorship and Director of Arts Leadership. Housed in the College and Graduate School of Arts and Sciences, this professorship was created with a gift from J. Sanford Miller, known as Sandy, who earned a BA in drama in 1971. Mr. Miller is a venture capitalist and investment banker who has remained engaged with the universities over the years since he graduated. He has served as a trustee of the College Foundation and of the Arts Endowment. He has also been a member of the Northern California Regional Board, the Arts Council, the Jefferson Scholars Regional Selection Committee, and the UVA Art Museum Advisory Board. He funded the Miller Arts Scholars Fund and the Sandy Miller Arts Initiative in Arts and Sciences, and he has generously supported the Fralin Museum of Art and the Jefferson Scholars Foundation. 2 of Mr. Miller's 5 children are also UVA alumni. The J. Sanford Miller Professorship and Director of Arts Leadership will support a tenure-track professor in the College and Graduate School of Arts and Sciences who will serve as the director of the Arts Leadership Program. The second resolution pertains to the naming of the Mario di Valmarana Center for Studies in Venice and Vicenza in the School of Architecture. The center houses the school's study abroad programs in Venice and Vicenza. These programs were created by Professor di Valmarana in the 1970s. The center also provides a home for additional study abroad and research opportunities for students in the Veneto region of Italy. Professor D. Valmarana, who was from Venice, had a long and distinguished career as an architect and an educator. He served on the faculty of the university's School of Architecture from 1972 until 2000, and he remained active with the school as a volunteer during his retirement. He received many accolades for his work and was granted knighthood by the Italian government for his efforts to establish and promote cultural links between Italy and the United States. He died in 2010. The school requested that the center be named in his honor, and the University Naming and Memorials Committee has approved this request. Mr. Chair, I recommend these two resolutions for the board's approval.
Is there a motion? Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. With your urging, we have heard from students at each academic and student life committee meeting this year. Our students have shared their academic experiences, their co-curricular experiences, and their experiences as student leaders. The entire board has benefited from these conversations. I hope that we will be able to continue at future meetings hearing directly from students and perhaps bringing in some graduate students as well. Since the day after the March board meeting, I have had the honor of serving as interim executive vice president and provost. While I've been fortunate to work with members of the university's leadership team for several years, the last few months have deepened my longstanding respect for my colleagues and for the work of this committee. Everyone on this committee and the board has devoted a tremendous amount of time and energy to the university, and I greatly appreciate it, as do many across grounds. Thank you. As all of you are well aware, we've faced many challenges this spring, along with universities across the nation. There will be time for discussion tomorrow afternoon about some of the challenges that we're facing related to federally funded research. Despite these challenges, we have much to celebrate too, and I hope that you will bear with me as I provide many reasons for celebration. I think that in the midst of challenges that we're facing, it's important to think about everything that is going right as well. Many of you were on grounds a few weeks ago for final exercises. We awarded 7,988 degrees across our 12 schools. This included 4,655 bachelor's degrees, 308 JDs, 145 MDs, and 2,880 graduate degrees, including 2,445 master's degrees and 368 PhDs. Our graduates celebrated their academic achievements with family and friends. Some of them will continue their studies, some will enter the workforce, some will enter the military or other forms of service. Wherever they go next, each of them will carry their UVA experience with them. As a philosophy professor, my hope is that our alumni never lose their sense of curiosity. And I hope that that sense grew stronger during their time at UVA. It was magnificent to see our graduates walk the lawn, and although the ground was a little bit soggy from several days of rain, the weather held out for the weekend, and it was absolutely beautiful. I have to say personally that the view from the platform in front of Old Cabell, looking out onto thousands and thousands of happy graduates and their families and friends, was nothing short of magnificent. This semester, we also celebrated faculty excellence in research, teaching, and public service with events on grounds. These celebrations, final exercises, and faculty celebrations are wonderful reminders of the strength and purpose of our academic community. And these recognitions come from outside the university as well. Sam Crow was awarded a Rhodes Scholarship, the university's 57th Rhodes Scholar. UVA is a top Rhodes-producing public university in the nation. Sam is also a Goldwater Scholar. Catherine Casaboom was named UVA's newest Marshall Scholar this spring. She may cross paths with Sam at Oxford, where they will both pursue graduate studies. Last week, we announced that Ishan Patel, a rising fourth-year student, was awarded an astronaut scholarship. We had 3 faculty members elected to the National Academy of Science this spring: Raymond Keller, Mariano Garcia Blanco, and Scott Doney. Raymond Keller was also elected to the American Academy of Arts and Sciences, along with Nicole Mitchell-Grant and Roger Chevalier. Sandhya Dwarkadas, Patrick Hopkins, and Venkat Lakshmi were elected to the American Association for the Advancement of Science. Engineering Dean Jennifer West received the 2025 Pierre Galletti Award from the American Institute for Medical and Biological Engineering. Scott Acton, Gustavo Conde Roda, and Shannon Barker were named to the 2025 class of the American Institute for Medical and Biological Engineering College of Fellows. Danielle Citron, who you will remember presented to the board in March, was named #1 among the top 100 legal scholars of 2025, based on the number of citations to her articles published from 2018 to 2020. 4 other UVA law scholars also made the top 100 list. Recently retired law faculty member A.E. Dick Howard was presented by the General Assembly with the 2025 Outstanding Virginian Award. David Getze was awarded a prestigious Guggenheim Fellowship, and Jess Rhea received an Andrew Carnegie Fellowship. Fernando Opere Santillana was awarded Sigma Delta Pi's highest honor, which is the Order of Don Quixote. Edith Close received the American Association of Teachers of Slavic and Eastern European Languages Prize for outstanding contribution to scholarship. Catherine Bradshaw was named a Fellow of the American Educational Research Association, and former dean and current faculty member Robert Pianta received the organization's 2025 Award for Distinguished Contributions to Research and Education. Arthur Weltman was presented with a citation award by the American College of Sports Medicine. I'm getting to the end, I promise. There are a lot of these, and it's just joyful to read them. Mary Faith Marshall received the Society of Critical Care in Medicine's Grenvik Award for Ethics. Jim Lambert, who was presented to the board in his role as chair of the Faculty Senate, was given a Distinguished Educator Award by the Society for Risk Analysis. Neural Shah and James Solon Jr. both received Outstanding Faculty Awards this year from Chev. And I will just say one thing about that. I served on the committee for the Chev Outstanding Faculty Awards. I was not allowed to read or judge any of the UVA applicants, but I can tell you that was an incredibly difficult and challenging committee to serve on. It was the top of all of the universities across Virginia, and the competition was fierce. So it's very impressive that we had 2 winners among them. These are just some of the many honors that our students and faculty have earned this year. We have an exceptional community of learners, scholars, educators, and clinicians, and I am honored to serve and support them. The end of the academic year is a time for reflection. As I reflect on the year that has just concluded, I want to share 3 things that rise to the top for me as pressing issues that we are currently facing relating to our core research and teaching mission. The first of these is research funding. We'll be discussing this tomorrow. The second, which is something that keeps me up at night, is how do we prepare our students, not only for a workplace that is permeated by generative AI, but a world that is transformed by generative AI. And finally, cultivating genuine open-mindedness and generosity of spirit among students and faculty in the current polarized climate. And we will be talking more about that tomorrow in the full board meeting. These issues are not new to us, and they're not specific to the University of Virginia, but the landscape is changing rapidly, And we must continue to focus on how we can adapt, how we can anticipate, how we can bring people together with different life experiences, with different viewpoints, for honest, open, and thoughtful conversation, and how the University of Virginia can continue to lead. With that, Mr. Chair, I'll move on to our report item. UVA has been an accredited member of the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools Commission on Colleges, also known as SACS-COC, since 1904. Accreditation is necessary for access to federal student financial aid. It facilitates transfers of credits to and recognition of credits by other universities and degree recognition. It's also necessary to access many sources of research funding. Every 10 years, universities accredited by SACS-COC are required to document compliance with 73 standards. These 73 standards together make up the principles of accreditation. These 73 standards include everything from do our faculty have the qualifications necessary to teach the courses that they teach? Is our physical plant sufficient for our purposes? Do we have enough classroom space? What does our long-term financial outlook look like? So these 73 standards span virtually everything that we do on the academic side of the university, and they are designed to ensure that when a student comes to the University of Virginia, we have the resources to support them and to help them succeed. You may recall that at the March board meeting, Chancellor Henry talked about the College at Wise's reaffirmation of accreditation planning. So just to be clear, this is not a re-accreditation. It is reaffirmation of accreditation. The default is that we are accredited and we are being reaffirmed in our accreditation. We are planning now for UVA's decennial reaffirmation of accreditation with certification of compliance due in September of 2026. So in September of 2026, we will submit to SACS-COC a very thick packet of information that shows that we are in compliance with their 73 standards. In addition to the compliance certification, a significant component of the decennial reaffirmation is the development of a quality enhancement plan, or QEP, that is grounded in institutional planning, has broad support, and will improve student learning outcomes and student success. So every 10 years, every university undergoes this process, puts together a quality enhancement plan, and the selection of that quality enhancement plan is meant to reflect the institution's priorities and elements that were already in planning. That is, factors that we have already identified as something that we want to work on and develop further and are important priorities for the university. We will submit our QEP design in the fall of 2026, and we will then spend 5 years implementing the plan before reporting back to SACS-COC on our implementation. We began soliciting suggestions for our next QEP topic almost a year ago, with early conversations beginning in the summer and becoming more focused in the fall. We spoke with deans, we spoke with other school leaders, we spoke with students. The idea that quickly garnered support from a wide variety of stakeholders was to focus on expanding opportunities for internships and other forms of experiential learning. I know that many of you are interested in internships. The state of Virginia is also interested in expanding internships across public colleges and universities. We will have an opportunity to hear from 2 students this afternoon about their experiences through the university's internship placement program. Recently, a team from the Provost's office, the Career Center, and Student Financial Services was awarded a 3-year, $200,000 grant from SCHEV to build on prior efforts to expand federal work-study and to transform existing work-study positions into structured internships so that more students can benefit from applied learning experiences. This will involve incorporating elements such as performance reviews, student skill development, and student self-reflection into the work-study experience. By building this kind of development into federal work-study, we can create opportunities for students whose financial circumstances require them to work while they're in school, so they don't miss out on the learning opportunities that are often provided through internships. We can help our students translate their experiential learning into competencies for the workforce, whether that be through traditional internships or through other kinds of applied learning. For the QEP, we will include undergraduate research as a type of experiential learning. Research experiences are valuable for all of our students, but particularly for those who will go on to graduate school. According to the 2024 CIRU survey of undergraduates, 72% of our undergraduate students plan to pursue a graduate or professional degree after graduation. 72% have positive affirmative plans to pursue a graduate or professional degree after graduation. 12% are unsure of their plans, and only 16% say that the bachelor's degree is the highest credential they intend to earn. A QEP design committee will begin its work in the coming months and will develop a comprehensive design and assessment plan over the next academic year. I'm happy to answer any questions you have about the process, and I welcome your thoughts on our focus for the QEP.
Questions for Provost Gertler? Oh, I'll ask one obvious. So we hear a lot about SACS and its significance. At times, SACS has been accused of overly influencing institutions' ideological perspectives. Can you, just for the level-setting purposes of the board, share why is SACS accreditation important? What does it allow? What privileges does that provide us? What parameters does it impose on us? That process. Yeah.
Sure. So there are 7 regional accreditors across the country. We are Virginia is the northernmost state that's in SACS-COC's region. SACS-COC has a huge region. It extends from Virginia down the coast and all the way to Texas and includes Texas. So it's a very large region with hundreds and hundreds of colleges and universities in it. The principles of accreditation, and I would be happy to share these with the board, they're publicly available. The principles of accreditation touch on the kinds of things that you would be interested in if you were sending your child to a college or university. You want to make sure that the college or university has the financial wherewithal that they will still be around 4 years from now and that your child will graduate. You want to be sure that the people teaching your child have the adequate qualifications. You want to be sure that there is, sufficient physical space. You want to be sure that the registrar's office works well. So these compliance standards are highly technical, and for each standard, there are substandards and substandards. Some of the standards concern things like faculty governance. I have to say that I am not fully cognizant. I have not read all 73 of the standards and the substandards, but I do not believe, and I'm going to turn it in a moment to Alina Herklotz, who is the director for academic compliance and knows SACS-COC much better than I do. She is our current SACS-COC liaison. I do not believe that there is anything in the compliance standards about ideology, but Alina, could you say a little bit about that?
You might want to come to the mic.
Maybe you could come up to my microphone.
Or at least the chair, yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Hello. Nothing really to add. I would just echo Bree's assessment. They're agnostic as far as ideology and really just technical requirements around the running and administration of an institution in higher education.
And I guess, so there are two things I take away from that. One is it's kind of the good housekeeping seal of approval for higher education, basically, that if you're not accredited by one of these regional agencies, your ability to hold yourself out as a fully comprehensive institution is in question. But I do think there are requirements around faculty governance and independence that are important in order to achieve that. Is that fair to say? You want to share anything about that? Yeah.
Sure, yes. Faculty governance as well as academic freedom protections. Yes, that's all included as well.
Yeah.
If the University of Virginia was not accredited, our degrees would not be worth the paper that they're printed on, right? So these regional accreditors play this oversight role of actually looking into what is mostly very mundane details, but also important principles like academic freedom and faculty governance principles that together essentially certify that a bachelor's degree or a master's degree or a PhD or a JD or whatever degree, actually they don't cover the JDs, they have their own accreditors, but a degree from arts and sciences, for example, represents that the student has gone through certain learning experiences, has achieved certain academic performance levels, all of that. So, for example, if you wanted to set up a diploma mill and charge students to come and get degrees and you did not meet these kinds of standards, you would not be accredited. So the role of the accreditors really is to make sure that that's not happening, that degrees given by accredited universities in the US mean something, stand for something, and have been vetted.
And I think one other critical factor is that it used to be, at least, that federal aid programs, higher education aid programs, required accreditation as well. So if you were not an accredited institution, you could not receive federal financial aid or other assistance. So that's the other.
Absolutely. You cannot receive financial aid. We would not be eligible for most federal research funds. And a student leaving UVA, who had the bad judgment to want to transfer from UVA to another school, a student leaving UVA would not be able to present those credits towards a degree at another school. More seriously, a student graduating with a bachelor's degree from UVA, if we were not accredited, would not be able to use that bachelor's degree as evidence that they were prepared for graduate study. And if I was an employer, I would look askance at someone whose degree was not from an accredited university, because there's just no assurance there of what that degree actually means.
Yeah. Thank you. Any other questions for the provost on the accreditation process? All right. Very good. Thank you, Bree. Madam Provost, will you introduce our first discussion item?
I will. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm pleased that we have two rising fourth-year students here with us this afternoon to share their experiences as participants in UVA's Internship Placement Program, or IPP. Kate and Aryaa, will you please join us? A little bit of background while they're walking up. The IPP is supported by the Provost's office and the UVA Career Center. And we have Dean of Students Nicole Hall, who until recently led the UVA Career Center here as well. Students who participate complete a part-time supervised internship and a one-credit reflection course. This provides a tailored learning opportunity for students to explore career interests, build their skills, and grow their professional networks. The program operates year-round. During the fall and spring semesters, students spend 10 hours per week on their internships. In the summer, they spend 20 hours per week. And in the last academic year, students completed 360 internships at 102 sites. One of the great things about the IPP is that the process is streamlined. Students complete one application and have access to a range of high-quality internship opportunities. The Career Center staff works to match student interests and needs with the right internship. Rather than have Nicole or me tell you about the program, we have these two students here today who participated in the IPP this spring and liked it so much that they're doing it again this summer. First, we'll hear from Kate Rasmussen from Virginia Beach. Then we'll hear from Aryaa Deshpande from Chantilly. Both are entering their 4th year. Kate?
Hello, everyone. Like the Provost was saying, I'm a rising 4th-year student. My name is Kate Rasmussen. First off, I just wanted to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today at this meeting. It's a big honor. There's nowhere I'd rather be spending my Thursday afternoon. I am majoring in environmental science and minoring in social entrepreneurship. I'm really passionate about clean energy, sustainable businesses, and reducing waste. So this past semester, I interned with Wild Virginia. It's a conservation nonprofit focused on improving water quality and strengthening habitat connectivity. Now, I'll be honest, before this internship, I didn't even know what habitat connectivity meant, but I quickly learned it's about creating safe passageways like bridges or tunnels that allows wildlife to move across roads and develop landscapes without putting themselves or drivers in danger. To give you an idea of the scale of this concept, in 2023 alone, there were over 7,000 vehicle collisions involving deer in Virginia, and that number just keeps on rising. While deer aren't the only species impacted, they are among the most dangerous for drivers. So this work isn't just about protecting wildlife, it's about protecting our people too. By improving habitat connectivity, we can reduce collisions, improve road safety, and even reduce the financial burden on the state from insurance claims and emergency response. Another key part of my time at Wild Virginia was learning about PFAS and how we can improve water quality. PFAS, which stands for per- and polyfluoroalkyl substances, are toxic synthetic chemicals that are present throughout Virginia in our air, water, and soil. They linger in the environment and build up in organisms, taking so long to break down, they have even earned the name forever chemicals. This leads to widespread contamination and long-lasting risk of exposure. Scientific studies show that PFAS pose significant risks to human health. Such health risks include cancer, harm to fetal and/or infant development, decreased fertility, increased risks of obesity, increased high blood pressure during pregnancy, reduced immune system function, and many more. Wildlife exposed to PFAS present similar negative health effects. Unfortunately, conventional water treatment systems don't remove PFAS, so our polluted water becomes a major pathway of exposure, contaminating drinking water, soil, crops, and even livestock. During my internship, I focused on PFAS contamination at Fort Belvoir, which is a military base in Northern Virginia. I helped research and compile data that Wild Virginia used to advocate for stricter PFAS regulations. Our work actually led to the Department of Environmental Quality agreeing to hold a public hearing on the issue, and while this is a major step forward, the fight is far from over. We need to continue to hold the state of Virginia accountable, not only because of the environmental impacts of these chemicals, but also because of the serious health risks they pose to humans and wildlife. This summer, I'm continuing my environmental work through a new internship with the City of Charlottesville's Office of Sustainability. Even though it's a relatively small city, Charlottesville is leading in sustainability practices. I'll be helping expand the city's composting program, something UVA has already done a pretty good job at, but it just hasn't reached the broader community as well. The city currently only has one composting drop-off site. I'll also be supporting a newer program called Working in a Sustainable Environment, or WISE. We want to ensure city employees are implementing environmentally friendly practices in their workplace. This includes measures like recycling, composting, practicing energy efficiency, and conserving water usage in our offices. Another main area of work will be creating and expanding curriculum for elementary schoolers that helps them learn about climate change and how humans can help out. It will tie into their standards of learning and be taught in general science classes. Overall, I'm extremely grateful for the internship placement program because I would not have gotten either opportunity without it. I have learned so many valuable skills and worked in a variety of environments with passionate and engaged staff members. I think the program did a great job at not only placing me where my interests lie, but where I could grow the most as a student in person. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Aryaa, and I'm a rising 4th year majoring in cognitive science with a concentration in CS. This past semester, I had the opportunity to intern as a UX/UI designer at the Actors Pocket Guide. Theater productions often involve a great deal of coordination, such as managing rehearsal schedules, organizing casting information, and ensuring clear communication across directors, actors, and crew. The Actor's Pocket Guide addresses this challenge by offering a centralized mobile app that streamlines all aspects of theater production into one accessible platform. However, I worked on another app under the founder of the Actor's Pocket Guide. My manager, Anatole Norland, recognized a gap in existing career exploration platforms. While many offered opportunities for students to experience careers in an interactive and meaningful way, few offered a centralized, comprehensive site for career guidance. I was a UX/UI design intern for this new career exploration app. A user experience / user interface / UX/UI designer is responsible for designing a user interface to be as intuitive and accessible as possible for the user through conducting user research and applying this data to our designs. To give you more context on what this means, have you ever clicked on a drop-down menu that was just way too long, or were you ever overloaded with information when clicking onto a website with no idea how to even find the information you're looking for? This is an example of a bad user experience. As a UX/UI design intern for this new career exploration app, which we called A Day in the Life, my role was to design the interface that centralized career exploration, ensuring that the user experience was intuitive, accessible, and engaging, particularly for our target audience of high school and middle school students. The main idea of this app was to gamify the career exploration process by allowing users to explore a day in the life of their chosen profession based on their quiz answers and their app engagement. This internship allowed me to apply what I've learned in the classroom in a real-world setting. I created wireframes, tested navigation flows, and contributed to visual designs that are now actively being integrated into the app. Additionally, I conducted user research, interviewing educators and high schoolers to gain insight into what features we could include in the app. One of the most impactful aspects of this internship for me was working in a startup environment. Startups are fast-paced, they're flexible, and they're often unpredictable, which meant I had to be resourceful and independent. Because the team was small, I wasn't just given small tasks or mock assignments, I was given real responsibilities. I learned how to communicate design decisions clearly, how to ask for feedback, and how to change my approach to a design when something wasn't working. And these are all key skills to becoming a great UX/UI designer. I think that the most exciting part of this internship for me was when I saw my designs come to life. Features I designed on Figma, which is a web design tool, are now being implemented on the app. This sense of ownership and impact is something I'll carry with me into any future design job opportunity. What made this experience even more meaningful was the support I received through my enrollment in UNST 3910 Self and Organizations, a one-credit course designed to help students navigate the internship. This class provided a structured space each week to reflect on our personal and professional growth. We explored the mechanics of career development, like how to network effectively and how to craft a compelling LinkedIn profile. Through guided exercises, like mapping out our possible lives and completing a life design document throughout the semester, we examined how our values, identities, and lived experiences shape the way we navigate the world of work. These reflections help me better understand not just what I want to do, but also why I want to do it. This summer, I'm interning with Rise Together as a website design and social media intern. Rise Together's mission is to provide guidance and support for the college application process for first-generation, limited-income, college-bound high school juniors and seniors. My role is to redesign the website and launch a social media campaign that is intended to recruit new college mentors and high school participants. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, ladies. Are there questions for the students about the internship experience?
Yeah, I have one. Aryaa, Kate, this was terrific. Congratulations to both of you. How would you say these experiences have positioned you for, you'll graduate next spring, so as you head out into the world of work, what does this mean for you and your job readiness?
I can go first. So as a UX/UI designer, I have to have projects to include in my portfolio. Since human-computer interaction isn't specifically a major at UVA, I feel like this was particularly hard for me to build my portfolio in the beginning, but the IPP program allowed me to apply without a portfolio, and this is a way I was able to build a project in a real-world setting.
Yeah, I think one of the most valuable parts of this program for me was just being able to get the internship in the first place. As we know, it's become a lot more competitive and difficult to get internships in professional help. So actually being able to get in the field and work with people who have been doing environmental science forever and talking to them about how they ended up there was extremely helpful, especially for someone who doesn't want to go into academia or do research or be a professor. It was just really reassuring to meet people who came from a variety of backgrounds. One of the people at my old internships was a zookeeper, so just stuff like that just makes me realize that you can do anything with this field, so yeah.
Are there other questions? Well, thank you so much for your time, your presentation, and spending your Thursday afternoon with us. We really appreciate that.
Valentina and Clay, would you please come up? There you are. Throughout this academic year, the board has heard from leaders of the Honor Committee, the University Judiciary Committee, and the Greek Councils. We're continuing the practice of hearing from leaders of student organizations today. I'm pleased that we are joined today by the immediate past president and the new president of Student Council. Valentina Mendoza Gonzalez is from Dumfries, Virginia, and graduated just a few short weeks ago. She served as president of Student Council from spring 2024 until spring 2025. Clay Dickerson is from Lubbock, Texas, and is a rising fourth year. He was elected president of Student Council this spring. We'll hear from Valentina first about her year at the helm of Student Council, and then we'll hear from Clay about his plans for the coming year. Valentina.
Thank you for the kind introduction, Madam Provost. Hi, everybody. I'm Valentina, and I had the honor of serving as the 24-25 Student Council President. I'll start my presentation by saying I'm an unconventional president. That's one heck of a way to start. But I only joined Student Council in my third year and then shortly after ran for president. And so what was my call to action? Students. How can we truly listen to them, then act responsibly and meaningfully about their stories and their concerns? Student Council protects the rights and opportunities of all students. And so as a student who wore many hats in her time at UVA, I felt empowered to discover and lead the mechanisms that do just that, protect the rights and opportunities of all students. I ran on the Voice Movement, a campaign centered on community, transparency, and justice. Our goal as a campaign was to understand what students have to say about the UVA experience, and then let that guide our work. I see Student Council first and foremost as a servant organization. And so these three values shaped my major accomplishments in the term. I'm going to start off by saying as a computer science student, when I joined Student Council, I saw a major gap, and that was data. Student Council lacked the habit of data collection, and without data, we could not make informed decisions about spending. We empowered our data science agency to truly take the numbers and put them into action. And what that meant was start by standardizing surveys across the board to understand how our projects and how our services were going. We wanted to know what students use, like, don't like, and how they engage with the work that our Student Council leaders do. We were able to compile this data into a report that brought these numbers to life, put stories behind them, dignified the experiences of students that use our services. We shared this report with key stakeholders, the President's Office, Student Affairs, and the incoming leadership of Student Council, so that everyone understood how the student activities fee was being used and how university funds were being used efficiently and intentionally. Next, we were able to take a fresh look at our budget. We went back and saw that, hey, there's some projects that no longer serve need to the students of this time, and then there's some projects that are going really well, and how can we expand them and put more community partners to make these projects worthwhile? My biggest goal was to ensure that the Student Council budget from every line item allowed for innovation. We don't want to be stagnant as an organization that has a brand new cohort of students every year, and want to ensure that we're leaving ample room for projects and services to grow. But what does this work do if we don't document it? My next big project was institutional history preservation. Student Council and many other agency organizations face a unique challenge. We have a new executive board every single year. What this means is that in 7 years, there will be 7 presidents with 7 goals and 7 different executive boards, and this makes it really hard to do efficient work. I established the institutional habit of end-of-term reports. Each executive member documented their projects, accomplishments, and challenges, and then these reports were shared with the incoming board as well as our staff advisors. What this means is that a month down the line or 5 years down the line, when I go to start a project, I know that some president a couple years ago, it already didn't work, it maybe is already done and is in a dusty drive somewhere, and so do our staff advisors. So when I go meet with my staff advisor, they know that this project has already been worked on, or that these are the challenges that come with doing projects like this. We also wanted to share these reports publicly because there's an infamous question, what does Student Council even do? And as someone that has worked really hard this year on doing just that, we wanted to make sure that students didn't even ask this question in the first place, and that we put that information where they were. I talk a lot about current staff and students, but what about alumni? As a recent alumni myself, whose Student Council was very integral to my experience at UVA, and our own Mr. Brown, former Student Council president, we would love to stay engaged with Student Council and took a lot of inspiration from the Honor Committee and their alumni network. We wanted to set the foundation for what an alumni network for Student Council looked like, and that started by cleaning up our backyard. We made a page on our website that included a giving button and also an alumni newsletter. We hope that this project gets launched as a full campaign to engage alumni, recent alumni, and also older alumni to know what Student Council is doing and keep in touch. This project could not have been possible without the collaboration of Student Affairs and the Alumni Association, and we hope that this campaign continues. I had the honor of transitioning Clay as the next incoming Student Council president, and so he's going to talk a little bit about his goals and priorities for this term. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello. Thank you all so much for having me. In the same way that Valentina had the honor of introducing me to the role, I had the honor of reading her end-of-term report, which was about 25, 26 pages, and it took me a while, but it was truly life-changing in the way I transferred into the position, and I got a head start like no other. That head start allowed me to go forth with these 3 primary goals. I ran a campaign, and I called it Brighter Tomorrow, the idea being I wanted to make this university better day by day with each and everything that the council I oversee does. The primary thing I wanted to point out, the first thing I'll say is the increasing CIO allocations. CIOs being contracted independent organizations. These are the clubs, the groups, the organizations at the university, and as I view them, they are the life force of student self-governance. They are what makes the wheels on this big vehicle go forward, and without the proper resources, they can't keep those wheels oiled. The unique role that Student Council has is the ability to allocate these funds. And by continuing the efficient spending, mindful, data-driven budgeting, we are and will be able to push more resources, more of this student dollar back into the hands of these organizations, enabling us to make the most of the student dollar, which I'm extremely excited to continue doing, especially as we are nearing, well, we are at a record number of CIOs. We are over 900 now. Next, I am really interested in and making great progress with establishing advisory boards, and not just establishing, but institutionalizing, making these advisory boards something that, as Valentina mentioned, they stick through that singular term. The way I am doing this and the way it will continue to be done is by using successful templates. Right now we have the Public Service Advisory Board, which has existed now since last school year. We have the same individual heading this, and it is an absolute success in my opinion. The goal with this advisory board is to uplift public service to the same level that honor is at UVA, as something that every student has in mind and keeps in mind as they go through their day-to-day and their time as a student. The reason why this was so successful is we involved community partners, administrative partners, faculty partners, and student partners in a way that ensured it wasn't just a short-term project. It's short-term and long-term, accumulating and, well, for Public Service Advisory Board, a workbook. a workbook that very quickly and efficiently informs students, faculty, admin on why public service is so important. Furthermore, what these do is these advisory boards give an unconventional way for students to get a seat at the table. I am a limited income student myself. I didn't even see myself ending up at the University of Virginia. I mean, I'm from the middle of nowhere in Texas, and each step of the way, each step I take, I'm grateful for it. And I know there's some students who are unable to make the meetings that I do every Sunday. One of my best friends works a double shift every Sunday while I'm going to meetings. And the wonderful thing about these advisory boards is they're flexible introduction for students as they work their way into them. It allows students who would unconventionally be in these leadership positions to use their slice of student self-governance and speak their mind and make the change they wish to see. That being said, the two other advisory boards that we will be pushing forth this next year, alongside the Public Service Advisory Board, it's going nowhere. As an FGLI advisory board, first in limited income, this one's very near and dear to me. I lead by my heart and by my experiences, and this one I'm very excited for. We will be working alongside Who's First and other collaborators to ensure this one sticks, to empower the FGLI student experience across the whole university. And secondly, developing a safety and trauma response advisory board. At the end of the day, with all of these boards, students don't know where to go. They don't know who to talk to, where to go to make their voice heard. And just in short, I'm just so excited to continue with these, to give students not only a seat at the table, but a way to speak their mind and make the change they wish to see, as I mentioned earlier. Moving forward, the last thing is pretty broad, but enhancing financial accessibility. Again, as a limited income student, I am so grateful to be here, and I'm also grateful to be here in a nice suit. Except what I will say is I've had this one since high school prom. And so one of the things I'm most excited to do is institutionalizing a free career closet for students at the university. This sounds like a no-brainer, but it really surprised me when I realized this doesn't exist at the University of Virginia, but it does everywhere else in the Commonwealth. If you go look around other institutions near us, you will soon realize we are virtually the only school that doesn't have something to allow students to look good and feel good. Something I'm so excited about doing with this is giving the students not only the chance to get a seat at the table, but look good doing it at something that won't hurt their pocket in that regard. The progress we've made towards this already is paramount. We have a space prepared. We are working on the clothing racks to store everything. We are collaborating with university organizations. For example, there's an organization on grounds called SWAP at UVA. They've already donated over 600 clothing items. And this is a semesterly commitment they've given to us. So with them by our side, with everyone in this room, if you've got any extra suits, we'll take them. I believe that we can help our students represent themselves in a way where they look great doing. I'm really excited for that. That all being said, just again, continuing the trends of data-driven development within the Support and Access Services branch, I had the pleasure of working alongside Valentina in my role as the chief of SAS, is what we call it, in collecting data and ensuring that our services were reflecting the student needs and not what we thought they needed. And so yes, as we do this, we hope that this will enhance financial accessibility across the university. Thank you all so much for having me and Valentina. And we'll go to questions now. Thank you.
Very
Mr.
good.
Chair?
Are there questions? Yes, Mr. Long.
Clay, I'm not sure Mr. Now will agree with you that where in the world is Nowhere, Texas, but anyway, where's Nowhere, Texas, John? That's where Clay's from.
Exactly.
Clay, what is your perceived role? By the way, great remarks, both of you. What is your perceived role now, and what has the historic role been between student council and, let's point to Gregory, our new student member of the Board of Visitors? How will you all interact, collaborate in terms of tasks and dreams and goals?
Well, I will just say one thing. By nature of our relationship through position, but also just as individuals, me and Greg have become really close. Our number one goal is to serve the student body and make their experience better day by day, and we don't mind if we do it behind closed doors. And so the interaction between me and Greg and Valentina and Lisa it's a lot. But It's very valuable, I feel. Every conversation that me and Greg have had and will have, I see endless possibilities in the way that we can work together with our personal interests and also the shared interests of the student body and the university community to make this place better day by day. So Valentina probably has a better idea of this considering she had a whole year of it. So what do you think?
I will tell you all the truth, and that is that these coalitions between the honor chair, the UJC chair, and the SMBOV are not ones that are set in stone, and we kind of have to take the initiative of saying, hey, let's be friends because we got a lot of work to do this year. And so I'm very lucky that the people who mentored me, the past student council president before me and the other honor chair in UJC and SMBOV kind of set this tone for us and said, you all need a bi-weekly meeting. And whether that sounds super simple, but not for a full-time student, it doesn't. So we had our bi-weekly meetings at 9 p.m. on Sunday nights, and we spoke about, okay, this is what's going on.
I knew
and
you guys are all Z's.
yeah, there's that one too. So this really helped us, and so I think in a big mega meeting between the 6 of us this year, we set the tone for the incoming cohort of senior leadership, so that's exciting.
Yes, Mr. Kennedy.
I have a similar question to Dr. Long. I was wondering, Valentina, maybe you're best to answer this. Thinking about, as the student council and the other organizations talk about faculty interactions, obviously you're in our courses, working in our labs, and making contributions. But how could, in your view, could the student council and the faculty senate and perhaps the general faculty senate work together to make sure that our respective voices, especially your voices being the most important, are heard by your faculty beyond the individual faculty you interact with?
That's a great question, and I will turn to the representative body. Since 1956, Student Council has had the habit and tradition of every Tuesday at 6:30 having a representative body meeting legislative session. And at this session, we're able to bring these concerns to the forefront. And a lot of things change throughout the year, but many years there's similar concerns: parking, transportation, classes, academic things, and whatnot. Something that really helps us is those faculty coalitions. And what works in our favor and in y'all's favor is that through legislative session, we are able to pass a bill that is a certificate that says, not only do I have this problem, but my constituents, being this School of Engineering or the College of Arts and Sciences, also have this issue. That's been a tradition, and those sorts of relationships we hope are becoming a little more graceful and smooth, and coming from a position of, we're not asking this of you, but we want to have a collaboration with this. In the future, and something that Clay and I have spoke about, is in our roles as student council and in other agency organizations, we kind of know what we're doing, but sometimes we don't. I manage a $1.3 million budget. I don't have that much money in my bank account. So something that I've always thought of is that our faculty at this university do know what they're doing through years of industry experience and professional experience. And we hope that these coalitions can not only be when we need something from each other, but as we learn and grow as people in these leadership positions.
Other questions from our students?
I'm curious, what's the most challenging part of being a student council president?
Well, so far as the new guy, I just want people to talk to me more. At the end of the day, I really do, from the deepest part of my heart, want to serve each and every corner of the university, and it's hard for me to hear from each part of it when there's only so many hours in the day, and I only know certain folks to reach out to. So the biggest problem for me, or issue so far, is having folks know that I am open to any and everything. So I'm really trying my best to seem approachable and, and hope that folks let me know how I can advocate for them and how I can serve them, because I'm dying to over here. I really, really want to make this university a better place. And so, yeah, if that's, I don't know if that was an issue for you, but.
Yeah, as a fellow Lonnie, I had some wide-eyed first years knock on my door. This one time, a first year knocked on my door and I was in a robe, and they told me, you know, the dining hall food sucks. What can you do about that? And I was like, let me put on some clothes first and then we can talk. So that's the social part of it is hard.
Right.
We are in open session, by the way.
We are, right. I guess a two-part question. One, what is the time commitment? How many hours a week are you spending in your role as a student council leader? And then secondly, Valentina, you talked about the fact that these concerns bubble up, they come to the representative body, you're able to, in a process, ferret those into what are legitimate, practical considerations versus idiosyncratic issues for individuals. How does that benefit the institution, the university at large, to have a body that does that, to channel student concern, frustration, opportunity? What's your view of that?
That's a great question. First, out of just a scientific experiment, I decided to log my hours one week, and I did 48 hours. So it comes and goes, and sometimes it's harder than other weeks, but I'll say that I do it completely willingly because I want to serve the students and because this brings me a lot more joy than coding did, so that was something good. To your second question, there's something organic about students serving students and about student council being for students and by students. And while I think that us as the student senior leadership are empowered to work in coalition with a lot of you all, a lot of different students view full participation at this university in different ways. And not every student wants to be standing at the BOV podium explaining what's important to students. And so what this does is this gives a bridge. It gives a bridge for students to share in comfortable environments where they feel safe to be vulnerable what matters to them. I think that student council is the only agency organization that allows this bridge to be that full trust and vulnerability. And I think Clay can speak more as this year, when new concerns are coming up, how student council continues to be that sandbox for students to feel safe to share.
Yeah, just to echo what Valentina was saying, and I guess to push what I was saying earlier, the things like these advisory boards and allow students who I wouldn't otherwise be talking to, who I'm wishing would come talk to me, to speak their mind and to really authentically affect their student experience for the better. I don't have really much else. I thought she said that perfectly. I don't know what y'all thought. That was pretty dang good, but yeah.
I don't know if there are any other questions.
Yeah, just one comment. I have to say I'm very impressed to see the best practices of computer science brought to PowerPoint and student governance both. So the data gathering and the documentation and all the rest. And I laugh at your coding comment, but you've certainly applied the lessons here very well to a totally different environment. And done so very impressively. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And I'll make a comment on that, being that, like we heard from the internship placement program, these agency organizations are some of the best examples of hands-on learning. And so Clay and I had the joy of being able to apply what we learned in a moving organism of an organization. So yeah.
Yeah, Vice Chair.
I just had a comment more than a question, but I love the fact that you're so service-oriented. I think that's such a great thing to bring to students on grounds. I feel like that so many of us go through our days wrapped up in everything that we're dealing with and forget about everybody else. And I really think that the idea for the professional clothing source, that's a great idea. I think that's really cool. Good work.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I didn't really get to speak on my personal experience, but living in the middle of nowhere, but Lubbock, Texas, it was a really interesting experience for me. I didn't always have the clothes I needed or the personal care products I needed. So at the end of the day, and I'm sure we all share this sentiment, but the reason why student self-governance is so beautiful and impactful to me is it's just the ability to make the change you wish to see. And even if that's not for yourself, you can do it for those around you. And it really warms my heart knowing I can make someone else look good, feel good, and enjoy their days on grounds. That's the ultimate fulfillment for me. Thank you.
I know we have another speaker, but I just have to say that what you just said, Clay, captures the essence of why student self-governance is such a distinctive feature here at the university. I know we have to move on, but I just wanted to say that student council plays an important role, not simply in elevating the student concerns, but also in managing and educating how to channel your frustrations. Ultimately, we live in a democracy, which is participatory democracy that requires people to know how to engage civilly. We talk about having constructive, diverse conversations in a constructive way. And I would dare say, if any of you want to see that in practice, you show up on Tuesday night at a student council meeting, where students from all aspects of this country will show up with varying views and engage in civil discourse and arrive at some process. And that process benefits this institution because they then elevate that constructively using institutions and vehicles that we have to elevate those concerns and address those. And I would argue that that vehicle in student council is the best vehicle to deal with the issues that many of us have angst about this institution. And I think the university needs to lean into that, because when that works, we don't have students protesting or disrupting meetings or chasing people down because they're using the vehicles that were designed to be used to deal with that disruption, to deal with those issues. And so I would, in my parting words as chair of this committee, I would impress upon both the administration and the students to channel student frustration challenges through those vehicles, because when those work right, both the educational mission is furthered, and we end up furthering our mission to have civil discourse and engagement, and this institution gets better. So thank you so much for being the leaders of that. I'm so honored to know that the traditions still continue as they were 30 years ago. Thank you. Provost Gertler.
Wow. Our students are so impressive. They are, of course, hugely smart and incredibly, have just incredible achievements, but there's something about a UVA student, and when we talk about student self-governance, and I'm just echoing what Carlos said, the kind of insight they show and the initiative they take in leading and caring for other students, it's just really special. And a University of Virginia education, I believe, is much more than what you get in the classroom. It's what you saw right there. And think about all of the people that are learning from Valentina and Clay as they're in those meetings and learning from each other. Now I'd like to invite our final presenter up to the podium, Coach Odom. Is he here? There he is. Some of you may remember that last June, I substituted for Provost Balcom at the Academic and Student Life Committee. At that meeting, several members of the women's swim team came to talk to the board. Some of those swimmers went on to win an impressive number of Olympic medals last summer and their 5th consecutive NCAA championship this spring, and they continue to break records. Now, let me be clear, I'm not claiming any credit for those wins, but maybe it's not a coincidence that I'm in this role again as I introduce our new head men's basketball coach. I think great things are in store for our men's basketball program. Coach Ryan Odom was announced as our new men's basketball coach in late March, succeeding Tony Bennett. Coach Odom is not new to UVA. His father was an assistant men's basketball coach on Terry Holland's staff in the 1980s. And I'm told that young Ryan Odom was a regular in U-Haul and served as a ball boy at home basketball games. He's had an impressive coaching career since those early days, with many of the details outlined in your materials. We're not going to focus on the fact that he was head coach at UMBC when they famously upset the Hoos in the first round of the 2018 NCAA tournament. As they say, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And, of course, we went on to win the national championship the following year. We are very glad to have him back on grounds. Coach Odom, welcome.
Wow, what a great introduction. I know you guys feel the same way, but I am in awe of the 4 students that just spoke. I'm so glad that I came, so early and was able to witness that, because the students are our work. And I totally agree with someone over here who made the comment about, serving. And it was evident listening to each one of them speak that that's at the core of who they are. And I don't know about you, but when I was 18 to 22, I was thinking about myself, probably, more than I should have been. And the fact that these students are leading, their group of students is really, really impressive. And I love the career suits idea. Without a doubt, I'm all in. I'll donate to it. I would even add, I would think with some of the things that you're doing, I would encourage you, not just the basketball players, but to utilize the athletes. They're very visible, obviously, as we know, and I think could help, with some of these things. And certainly something that I would encourage you to reach out, to me and other coaches that are here at UVA. We're all very fortunate to be here together at this great place. And, I thank, President Ryan, Carla Williams for hiring the ball boy from UVA. I guess that was my internship, for this. But in all seriousness, internships are huge. I did an internship. I was an econ major at Hampton-Sydney College, and I did an internship at Bank of America in Charlotte with my godfather. And sometimes it tells you exactly what you need to know. I want to pursue this. But it might also tell you, I don't want to pursue this. And that's exactly what happened for me. I was not destined to coach. I had breakfast with Tony Bennett 2 weeks ago. And I think he and I were probably very similar in this. We actually exchanged stories about when we were youngsters. We were both raised in coaching families, and he never thought he was going to coach. He told me, he said, I told Laurel, like, if I ever talk to you about coaching, you threatened to divorce me. And obviously it didn't happen, thankfully for all of us, right? For me, when I was in college, I was thinking, I've watched my father coach. I've been around it, my entire life. I've watched him travel around and watch other kids play. Wasn't able to watch me play all the time. And but I enjoyed every moment of being around college athletics, obviously. But at that point, I was like, I want to do something different. And that internship told me a lot. And I wasn't ready to give up the sport that I so love. I enjoyed playing at that time. And I never really thought a lot about coaching. And, that kind of led me to it. I got into it and continued on, and here I am, years and years later. But I want to lead with something else that I think is going to be really impactful for you. We get all kinds of letters in our profession from time to time, from people, from different folks. And I want to read this one here because I think it's pretty important. I'm getting ready to have to start wearing readers, but I'm not quite there yet. Hello, Coach Griff. This is a quick note to say how pleased I am about your return to grounds and your new challenge. I came to law school in 1970, retired in 2004, knew Dave Odom in his time here, watched nearly every UVA basketball game over those many years, and am now out on Pantops Mountain at WCBR, where you may know many UVA people, Terry Holland, end up as the shadows of life lengthen. I learned of your career path at the time you went to Longwood, and I know of the great success you had there, both as a person and a professional. So hooray for your move to associate head coach. You know well that there will be peaks and valleys ahead, and at times fierce winds. But you also know that these are challenging and exciting times, and thus an opportunity to make a difference in the lives of young people at a truly great university. So if we were back to your first day in law school, I would simply tell you that whatever got you here will get you through. You need only focus on your best effort. Be well, find the joy. Again, congratulations. And so I think we've all had a professor at some point, maybe it's a coach in our lives that really impacted us and pushed us forward. We all don't arrive at success by ourselves. And it goes back to what our students were talking about, serving. That can't get lost. Our time, it's never been more challenging to be a coach, to be a college president, to do what you great folks are doing for our university, to be an AD, all right, in this climate. It's never been more challenging. But we have to keep the main thing the main thing. Our students are coming to a great university, a place where they can grow, or a place where they will be mentored by tremendous people. And I'm excited to be able to do that here at UVA. And I realize that, our game is changing rapidly, and we are changing with it. And we are doing our best, all right, every day to make sure, all right, that we are teaching these young kids, all right, the pillars that we know will help them, all right, along the way the rest of their careers as they go out and leave us. And sometimes it's going to be 1 year that you have with a certain young man. Sometimes it's going to be 2 years. Hopefully it's going to be 4. We have freshmen coming in this year. We have 3 of them. But we also have some veterans, all right, that are 1-year players. And then we have a few others that will be here for a couple. But we have to treat them all the same in terms of our investment in them and the values and the lessons that we teach them each and every day. I'm really excited to get started with that. Our guys get here on June 16th. We will be together. We have actually 0 points returning, all right, from last year's team, which is very challenging, right? But it's also exciting, for me. It's like a puzzle, right? You put the puzzle together. And on June 16th, we will begin to put that puzzle together. How will we do it? We will connect them together, first and foremost, all right? They will not have success on the court if they are not connected to one another. And we'll do that in a multitude of ways. We'll do that within practice. We'll do that outside of practice. We might even take them on a whitewater rafting trip. We'll do things, all right, that will help bind and bond them together so that they can get to know one another. You know it better than anyone. When you know someone and you really have a connection with them, you trust them, all right, when the fierce winds that this law professor was talking about and when the challenging times come, that's when you know you can count on that person beside you because you've been there together and you know what they've been through. And so we're gonna begin to connect them together on June 16th throughout the rest of the summer and then on into the fall. And then the second thing that we need to do is to connect them to this place and to connect them to this university and the people in the city of Charlottesville. And I think that's never been more important than it is right now. With the ability for kids to transfer and move around from one school to the next year in and year out, that's not best for this generation, but it's where we're at. And so we have to accelerate that when they get here. We have to make sure that these guys understand that when they get here, it's not about them. It's about this university, and it's about this team, it's about this program. And I will tell you, I had one of the best meetings yesterday. We had a Zoom with all of the former players, that have played here at the University of Virginia. And it was me and Wally Walker, and then literally there were 70 some odd former players that attended that Zoom from all different coaching eras, even before Terry Holland. You had Barry Parkhill on there and several others. You obviously had Ralph. All right, you had Jeff Jones. All right, you had Mark Ivaroni. You had John Crotty, who my father, coached. You even had Jason Williford, who was just on the previous staff with Coach Bennett. And so you had Justin Anderson and Jack Salt, Akil Mitchell. I mean, it was really special to have everybody together on a Zoom. And the next step is, to get everybody together. And it was really exciting and I think it's a unique opportunity for me personally to be able to connect all these different eras. Obviously I grew up here. I used to walk across that bridge that we all know so well, where that 7-Eleven was at one time, right across that bridge to go over to University Hall and watch some of the greats do it. Ralph Sampson, Rick Carlisle, and the rest of them. And so I was blessed to have a front row seat, to high-level people operating and interacting, together. And I want to make sure that I do my best to not only honor you, and we appreciate how much you do for us and our athletics programs and our university as a whole, but we want to honor certainly the players and the coaches, all right, that have come before us. One of the other ways that we will connect our guys is we do a book club, every year. We're going to read a book called Legacy, and it's a really impactful book. It's about the All Blacks, the New Zealand rugby team. It's the most successful sports organization of all time. And it's all about leaving the jersey in a better place than you found it. And I think that's what these students are doing right here. They're leaving this place in a better place than when they got here when they were first years. And that's what it's all about. And that's whether you're here for 1 year, all right, or you're here for lucky enough to be here for 4, all right, your job is to make it better. And so that's the message that our players are going to be receiving every single day. You can count on it. And they probably sometimes will get tired of it, but it'll keep coming. And then they'll eventually get it. And certainly we want our guys to be leaders on campus and not takers. We want our guys to make sure that they understand it's a privilege to wear that uniform, a privilege to walk out of that locker room and play in front of you and our fans, and not a right. And I'm excited to get going. Happy to answer any questions about the team or where we're at, but understand, I will give you one more story. President Ryan will remember this. In the interview process, I was sitting right across from him and Carla Williams, and one of the questions was, why Virginia? And I pulled out a picture of myself as a 10-year-old, 11-year-old kid, and in a ball boy uniform, dribbling a ball in U-Haul, and just slid the picture right over there in front of them. Because this place is in my heart. I have never coached at a place, all right, that has been in my heart like this place is. They've been jobs. Probably you've all had jobs before. And then it became a part of you eventually. This place is a part of me before I ever got here. And so I'm going to do my best for you every single day and for this place. Any questions?
Questions for Coach Odom?
Just a comment, not a surprise. Huge Tony Bennett fan. You're stepping into big shoes, and we appreciate you coming back to do it. I would just say that one of the things, as a UVA alum, I've always been proud of this place for is that we graduate our kids. And NIL is going to change this. And I also try to face reality.
Yeah.
And some of them are going to come and go on 1-year basis. I would just say, and I'm just one member of the board, maintaining the personal integrity, quality, character approach. I can live with coming in second and beyond a lot easier than I
no doubt.
can with sacrificing those standards.
Yes.
So, and I hear you speaking to that, and I appreciate that. I just thought it was worth saying explicitly.
Yeah, no question. Thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. Our athletes this year had the highest GPA that they've had, I believe, ever. It's 3.46. in the spring semester, which is great. My team at VCU this past year, we had 3 guys that had 4.0s for the year. One of them's coming here. He's a freshman from France and will be a freshman here with us because he redshirted there last year. And so, you know, trust me, I'm right there with you, and we're not going to sacrifice and take any shortcuts. This place is too special, and we're going to bring the right people in here that will represent all of us the right way and understand the value of the Virginia degree. Obviously, we heard all about it with the accreditation and all of that. You know, it's important to me. It's going to be important, you know, to our staff and obviously to our players. Thank you for saying that.
Mr. Long?
Coach, I'm dating myself, but I remember you at your first loss at the center of the universe, my undergraduate alma mater, Randolph-Macon College.
Oh, yeah.
And I watched you play and beat us consecutively, I think, for the next 3.5 or 4 games, and then you went to the NCAAs through Hampton-Sydney, and so we're really proud of you. I thought after you had been named basketball coach here, when my phone started ringing with Hampton-Sydney alum and former board members, that I had done something wrong not getting their kids into UVA, and they were calling to complain about me. But they were all calling to say how lucky UVA, this is 5 different people,
I appreciate that.
is to have you. Mike Rao, the president of one of your previous institutions, VCU, called me to tell me how lucky we were to have you. They didn't say that you were a good basketball coach.
Yeah.
They said you were one heck of a good man, and that your commitment to building character was really what separated you from the others. And what you just said, you're not just walking the walk and talking the talk, you're living it and doing it, and UVA is a better place and will be a better place because of you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you saying that.
Coach, I know I've read a lot about you, and I've read a lot in the paper about how you intend to play. What's a Ryan Odom UVA basketball team going to look like?
Yeah, it's going to look different, and there's a lot of different ways to win, you know, in our game. And Tony Bennett's style of basketball, Terry Holland's style of basketball was the ultimate winning way. We do it a little bit differently. We play faster. We pressure up the court. And so it's going to look different. Part of that connection that I was talking about earlier, connecting with the fans, is going to be really important because it's going to be different when you go into JPJ and you see us flying around, all right, up and down the court a little bit faster than normal. And we're not trying to be the fastest team in the country. This is not Loyola Marymount of 1988. You know, it's more, quite honestly, what you've seen in the NBA playoffs if you follow it with Rick Carlisle's team. They pressure full court. I had the great fortune of going up there to watch Game 5 in the Garden, and I spent 30 minutes with him prior to the game. I was almost, you know, I was getting nervous because I was sitting in the locker room with him 30 minutes prior to the game. And in every locker room, you have a clock, and it just starts going down, right? And all of a sudden, there was 2 minutes left. I'd been in there for 30 minutes, and I was like, I think I need to leave. And then he goes, all right, you ready? And I was like, okay, yeah. And I just followed him literally right out of the tunnel, all right, onto the court for Game 5 in Madison Square Garden, which was like electric. But our style of play is very similar to the way that they play. And obviously, I haven't coached all of these kids yet, and it's going to be the fun part of it. Sometimes in coaching, like I've coached different styles at different places. And, you know, I believe here at UVA that we can implement the same style that, you know, a hybrid of what we've been able to do both at Utah State, here, or excuse me, at VCU, and then also at UMBC. The year we were really good at UMBC, we picked up full court that year. When we played UVA, we picked up, you know, full court. We weren't trapping and doing all of that. But at VCU last year, we pressed more, pretty much we were one of the top 10 teams in the country in terms of, you know, how often we pressed. It was every possession. Now, when we got in the half court, pretty similar, very disruptive. Tony's teams, his best teams, were disruptive in the half court. And everybody talks about the pack line and all of that. They definitely had those they played the pack line, but they were disruptive on the ball. Kyle Guy, Ty Jerome, all right, DeAndre Hunter, those guys, they were on you, and they would steal it from you if you were asleep. And so we're going to do the same thing in terms of our pressure on defense. We are going to play with shot blockers around the rim. We were top 10 in the country last year at VCU in blocking shots. And so we pressure out, and when teams come in and drive into the paint, we try to block shots there. And then we seal down and try to rebound. We were one of the best offensive rebounding teams in the country. We were a high-volume three-point shooting team at VCU and some of my other stops. Efficiency really is what it comes down to, though, no matter what style you play. Tony Bennett's teams were one of the most efficient teams year in and year out, every year on offense and defense. All right, we aspire to do the same thing. All right, my teams at VCU, all right, we're very balanced and very efficient on both sides. Teams at Utah State, very similar. And so we're going to try to do the same thing here, but it's going to be a fun brand of basketball. And, it's going to be exciting to see the fans begin to connect with our players. That's why it's so important when they get here on June 14th for us to be able to, roll our guys out in terms of getting them out and helping you guys understand who Dallin Hall is and who this player is, as they begin to get here on grounds.
Thank you.
Coach.
Yes.
I'm just curious. I knew your dad. What did he say to you when you called him and said, "I got the Virginia job"?
Man, I think he certainly had tears. He didn't know, obviously, until I called him. I think he was deep down. I think he was hopeful, that it would happen. He's always wanted me to have an opportunity like this. And I'll be honest with you, I was completely happy at VCU. And so when Tony retired on October 27th, that was a shock to me, like it was a shock to everyone else. And, coaching that team at VCU was a true blessing. But I had to walk into that team, right after playing in the NCAA tournament against BYU 2 days later or a day later, and tell everyone in that room, my academic coordinators in there, our, mental coaches in there, my strength coach, like everybody that's, helped our program. My AD is in there, his assistant, and had to explain to them why I was leaving them to come here. And it's a very human thing. And they needed to hear from me, not from social media or from some other platform. And so we were very, very quiet about it. And so I had the opportunity to tell Dad, to tell the staff, obviously. My mom was so excited. Their time here in Charlottesville, was like gold. I can still picture, I was running yesterday. I went for a run at 6:30, just around, the grounds. And I can remember as a kid, Coach Holland and my dad running these same routes, and one was 6'8", and the other's my height. And so you saw two guys, two best friends, just exercising together. And so Griff and I did it the other day. And it's pretty cool, moment if you think about it. This place is special. Ann Holland is still here. She texted me the other day. She was at El Joe's and devastated that El Joe's is closing down. And she went in there and she said, "What size sweater are you?" I was like, "I'm good. I don't need a sweater. You save your money. I'm fine." But anyway, it's a special place to us. And you'll see Mom and Dad. They'll be here. One of the other funny stories is Dick Bennett wrote me a great letter when I first took the job here. And obviously he loves Tony. He loves Ron Sanchez. He loves that staff, the players that Tony's been able to coach this place. He was a nervous wreck, couldn't even go to games, right, Ronnie? Had a tough time going to games. Well, my dad's the same way, and a nervous wreck. And so I wrote him back, in my reply, well, now you can relax, and you can keep my dad calm in the stands when you come to visit Tony and Laurel and your grandkids. So, you know, I'm very fortunate. My parents are very fortunate, and looking forward to the responsibility, because that's what this is. It's a tremendous responsibility, you know, to take over this program, as you mentioned, and I'm going to do my best.
Thanks, Coach Odom. Did you have something, Jim?
So I know we're running a little late on time, but first of all, thanks for being here, Coach. And this is in some respects picking up on Ken's question. So you've done a lot of recruiting now, and I'm just curious, with the players that you've recruited, how much did the quality of the school matter? Did it matter to them that they were coming to?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And it does, whether you're transferring in, all right, or you're coming in as a freshman. It absolutely does. Now, we do have some that are graduates, and I think that's part of, you know, the issue, not issue, but there are advantages for some other schools that are out there that can accept credits, you know, for guys that are student athletes that are going into their third year, right? Well, you go back to 60, all right, credits here. You can't get more than 60. So I think that's we have to be mindful of that when we go out and recruit. And so guys that are graduates of other schools, you know, we have one coming from BYU, one from UC Irvine, all good students, all right, that are coming here. One that started at USC and graduated from San Francisco. And they will pursue, you know, graduate programs here, you know, that are offered. But then we also have, you know, young players that are freshmen that are, and sophomores that are really excited about the opportunity to finish, you know, here and get the degree that they know can propel them past basketball. Because ultimately that's what it's all about. You know, there are only going to be but so many of these guys, even on my team and on Duke's team, that are going to be lucky enough, you know, to go play in the NBA. I had one this year at VCU, right, that's traveling around right now working out for NBA teams. He had the Mavericks text me yesterday and shoot me a picture of my player getting interviewed. He's sitting in a room like this, you know, getting grilled. And, you know, that's what it is at that level. But only so many kids are so lucky. You know, it's a very small percentage. And, you know, this degree here means so much, and it's really impactful as we go out and recruit, all right, because they understand, you know, what this place is all about. And we sell also the connections past the degree, because there's so many successful people that are willing to give back and help. There's so many young people that have gotten businesses started through the help of older alums that have, you know, come to help. And certainly, you know, that's something that we sell as we go out, and something that I personally wanted to be attached, you know, to.
Great. Well, I know that we're a little over time. I want to indulge a little bit as chair and make these couple comments. First, I want to thank Jim and Ian in his absence, and Bree and Robert, Rector, JJ and their team for all their support and guidance as I've taken on the role of chair in this committee. I want to thank you all for your indulgence in allowing the committee to be the voice of the customer. We talk a lot about that in business, right? Hearing the voice of the customer. And although we do a lot of things here that are important, at the end of the day, we have to remember that our students are the customer that we're serving. In this committee this year, we've dealt with 42 issues. Each time one of the committee members, one of the board members has raised an issue, it went on a list in my phone. And they've spanned from student advising to the internship program to religious diversity to PACE program. But we've dealt with 42 issues and 4 regularly scheduled meetings. And those were the issues that you raised. And I'm very, very proud that the staff and the team here has been able to accommodate that, in addition to making sure that we are hearing from the customers and our students. So, you know, we're tasked with the monumental responsibility via a shared leadership governance model to both sustain and advance the mission of this great university. However, the reason we are here is to support the development of our youth. It forced me to go back, as I was thinking about this last meeting, to look at the mission, the stated mission of the university, which is, and indulge me, The University of Virginia is a public institution of higher learning guided by a founding vision of discovery, innovation, and development of the full potential of talented students from all walks of life. It serves the Commonwealth of Virginia, the nation, and the world by developing responsible citizen leaders and professionals advancing, preserving, and disseminating knowledge and providing world-class patient care. It's important to keep that in focus, right? We do a lot of things. There are a lot of issues and things that we are focused on and that we bring with us from our day-to-day lives. But remembering that mission will remind us that we serve a great university. It is a great university, and we do a lot of great things, as Bree referenced. I've often heard Jim say that athletics is the front porch of the university, and I agree. But I would add that student self-governance is the kitchen. I think it is where people gather, it is where they form bonds, it is where they find connectedness. And there, it is a thing that uniquely distinguishes us from all the other top-tier academic institutions, right? I mean, I've had a child that went to a top 3 institution in the country. He did not have the experience that our students have here because students are not empowered in the same way they are. We heard Valentina say that she, at 21, 22 years old, is managing a $1.6 million budget. When I was student council president 30 years ago, it was $500,000. But we trust students to do real and important things, and I would impress upon you to listen to them, to hear them, to not substitute your own judgment always, but to actually engage with them, to understand what their real issues and concerns are, and to help them do what has made this place great. We all herald the honor system. It was students that founded the honor systems, and it is the students that should be able to lead and govern that in the way that they have. This institution is great because we allow students to put their thumbprint on this place and make it their own. It is the investment that yields all the benefits that we see now. We didn't raise $6 billion in the capital campaign because we were a great academic institution. There are plenty of great academic institutions that do that. We raised that because people felt connected to this place through their shared experiences, through living in that kitchen of student self-governance, through being able to make it their own. And I would ask that you give students in the future the same opportunity that we've had. Thank you. Meeting adjourned.
Really quickly, we obviously have reception starting at 6 p.m. in the rotunda. Any incidents that were happening over near the rotunda today have cleared out, so there's no concern there.